Hello and welcome to Bruins Overtime Live, presented by BuyAToyota.com. For offers not seen on TV, visit BuyAToyota.com. Adam Pellerin, Billy Jaffe, Barry Peterson, coming to you from our Salem 5 studio. The Bruins open up the post-holiday break with a 4-1 loss to the Buffalo Sabres. They have now lost 5 straight games. In a game that saw the Bruins take an early lead, we talked about the number of chances that Buffalo had in that first period. They weren't able to capitalize. And then the second period, they put the foot on the gas.
Again, I still thought even though the Bruins got outshot and even chances, I would say, in the first period, it wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad at all. I thought going into the room, sitting down, perhaps they just lost some energy right there. But then also the way that Buffalo said, okay, we got through that first period. We're going to come out and play faster, which they did. They absolutely outcompeted the Bruins in that second period. And then we saw, Barry, the deficiencies again in the Bruins' own zone in this game.
Yeah, especially early in that second period, to your point, Billy. After a decent first period, especially with all the travel, complications they had, no morning skate, the 3 days off. Okay, you give them that. You come out of that first period 1-0. It's like, yeah, they had some high-quality chances. Buffalo did. But you know what? Korpisalo kind of hung in there. He made some big saves for you. You got a 1-0 lead. First 3 minutes of the second period, you're down 3-0. You get outshot 13-2, and Buffalo just took complete control of the hockey game from there on in. And to your point about puck possession and dominance, Billy, I think that's one of the reasons the Bruins only had one power play. They were chasing, the majority of the night, right?
Second and third period, quite honestly, they looked slower. They were just slower than the Buffalo Sabres. Had the much better jump in that game.
Yeah, that second period, no doubt the difference in this one. As you take a look at the numbers now, the Bruins' 5-game losing streak, 0-4-1. They picked up the point in the shootout loss to the Vancouver Canucks. But you can take a look at some of these numbers. They're not pretty. And, if you want to look at the last 3 games, the Bruins have now been outscored 16-5 against the Senators, Canadiens, and now the Buffalo Sabres. And you're talking about 3 divisional losses right in a row for the Bruins.
Buffalo's won 8 in a row now.
Yeah. 8
in a row. Listen, the Boston Bruins went in, at least it seemed like, with some good purpose. But here again, this is the epitome of what Buffalo ended up doing in the second period. This is a sustained forecheck shift in the offensive zone halfway through the period. That wasn't sizzle. It was all about body positioning and wall play and movement. Here's a good recovery for Buffalo after they give a turnover, but it's a good back check. And then, the next thing you know, they're along the walls, and look right there. They're in front of Bruins players. They end up getting it, and they get the puck out of the zone. We talk about structured D always, Barry. That's a good example of recovery structural defense from the Buffalo Sabres. Here you walk your way or skate your way up the ice. You climb the ladder, as I used to like to call it, with good opportunities, and then Thompson falls down on the second one. But this was sheer dominance in the second period by Buffalo.
Yeah, it was. And I think as you kept talking about their top players, Billy, whether it was Thompson or Norris or Krebs or Samuelson on defense for Buffalo, who's having a great recovery year, their top players, again, I thought outplayed the Bruins players, and that they dominated at times with puck possession. They looked not only faster but stronger. They were winning the battles, and the Bruins just couldn't recover after that kind of 8-minute sloppy period at the beginning of the second.
An indication, and I know we touched on it a little bit, and I think Rick and Judd did as well. I know that a team is not sharp at all is being able to make complete passes, Barry. You always talk about move your feet, make the pass, right? You got to have a better chance. And Bruins did a lot of plays from stationary. They couldn't connect tape to tape. It was very evident. And again, I think that just goes to where they are thinking their way around the ice so much instead of just flowing and going and playing. And I keep saying the same thing, but it was fine in the first. Yep. And after that, it just changed.
But how many times did we say that when the Bruins were able to, after a long defending shift in your own end, you finally get possession, they get the puck and they flip it up and they lose possession, trying to make a change. But to your point, you're not generating any type of momentum or speed to get Buffalo back on their heels. Buffalo gets the puck, and what do? They keep coming right back at you because you've given up possession way too early.
Just a quick note on the Sabres, too. We talked about the second period being the difference in this one. Well, they went into the game 6th in the league in goal differential in the second period. And over the course of this 8-game winning streak now, they're +9 in the second period, by far and away their best period. during the streak. Matthias Samuelsson certainly stepping up for the Sabres tonight. He is our star of the game, presented by Subaru Dealers of New England. And you take a look at the numbers this season at home. 5 of his 6 goals this season have come at home. First 3-point night of his career. And he's the first Sabres player this season with 3 points in a single period, having a career year as well.
Yeah, Billy, he kind of struggled last year, right?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Significantly. There was talk of trying to either trade or waive or buy him out. And none of it happened. He's here. And I think he's happy and they're happy for it. But I do believe the message got through that they needed more from him. He has played really well this season.
Yeah.
And, no Rasmus Dahlin tonight as he's still flying back from Europe after being with his fiancée. And here is it's really a nice shot. I mean, you got a triple, not a single or a double, a triple screen in front of Korpisalo, which, Corpy's not the kind of guy that's going to gripe or moan, but you got to think he's like, how the heck am I supposed to see that right there, Barry, going short side? It's a good shot by Samuelsson. He had a huge expectations a couple of years ago, Barry, when they signed him to a mammoth at the time for a guy that had only played 50-something games. It was like $30 million over, I think it was over 7 years. And something crazy.
Yeah, and both he and Power, Samuelsson and Power, played 25-plus minutes almost tonight. So they were your top 2 pairs, 1 and 2, and then they kind of threw in their third pair a lot. But to your point, with Dahlin out, he really got a lot of quality time and took advantage of it this evening.
Of course, Sabres taking over in that second period, but Bruins getting off to an auspicious start. David Pastrnak scoring his 15th goal of the year, and you were hoping you were going to see a lot more of what the Bruins did here to get to that goal.
Yeah, because we were talking about as the Bruins embark on this 5-game road trip, one of the things away from, not only the obvious defensive structures, but the thing you want to see is, your top 6 get more involved offensively. It's one of the few times, Billy, as you had mentioned, lack of forecheck, they were able to get in there first. Lindholm takes the body. He can give Pastrnak that pass in the slot. He just uses his skill to be able to get that puck from his forehand, maneuver his body around, and get a big goal. And at that time, you thought, okay, here you go. After a tough day of travel, maybe you got a good start going.
It was a great classic forecheck. It was wonderful to see, and you could, it's clear what happens when you force the defenseman. In that case, it was Bo Byram. To his backhand, he just kind of flings the puck up the wall because he's afraid he's going to get hit hard, and he puts it into a bad spot. It's turned over, and then Pasta shoots. So it is a nice start for the Bruins, and they had a couple of other chances. They had the Corrali crossbar or post, which was
McAvoy as well.
And McAvoy later, but in the first, I'm talking about to extend the league right there. That you can play the game if coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Sure,
that could have significantly changed the game there, but they didn't get it, and they couldn't replicate what we saw on that forecheck much after that goal.
No, it really seemed, because you were spending so much time in your own end, once you finally got the puck out, instead of being able to forecheck, you were going off for a change, right? That allowed Buffalo to regroup and come right back at you.
As a result, 5 straight losses now for the Bruins.